Hi guys, my name is Kwangsu, and welcome to another Princess Connect redive video. Today we will be making a tier list for unique equipment in PvP. I thought this would be a useful video for people to see, since unique equipment is such a drain on resources such as mana, memory shards, and princess shards. All these resources are super scarce regardless of whether you are a beginner or a veteran, so seeing which unique equipment are super useful I think would be helpful to any player in the game. In case you are unaware of what unique equipment is an equipable item to your character that upgrades the character's skill 1 and adds to your character's stats. Please like the video if you end up learning something or if it helps you out with PvP, and subscribe for more Princess Connect redive content. Alright, so yeah, let's start. So first off is Pekarine, and her UE buffs her magic defense by a little bit more with her skill 1, also heals herself a little more, and also gives her an absorption barrier that will heal her as she takes damage. In my experience, Pekarine with her unique equipment is super good, so I'm going to go ahead and put her in the S tier. For Ray, her UE makes it so that her skill 1 debuffs physical defense by 60 for 12 seconds. In my experience, frontliners in Arena, not CV, are pretty bad just because Arena is mainly about AoE attacks, and frontline damage dealers usually get super wiped if they don't do enough damage to kill off the enemy before they die. So Ray goes in the D tier. Next is Kirby. So her skill 1 buffs all allies defense by 38, and then with the UE it goes up to 75, and then also restores their TP by 50, which is not much. It's barely anything at all. It's kind of negligible. So for Kurumi, I think I would put her in S tier along with Pekarine. Just because Kurumi with UE makes it really good for assault comps with like a lot of frontline tanks. Next is Carol. Carol I'm going to put in C tier. She is definitely fine. She's a magic DPS. Her UE gives her AoE damage on her skill 1, and also debuffs their magical defense. Nothing to scoff at, but there are just better unique equipments out there, and Carol's just not that great in Arena in the first place since there are stronger DPS characters. For Kokoro, I would also put her in C tier. Her unique equipment buffs her own attack by 1100 and gives her a TP boost to get more of her Union Burst off, but Kokoro doesn't even do that much damage in the first place, so pretty meh for Arena. For Yui, her skill 1 will do a little more damage with unique equipment and debuff physical attack. I think this is fine, but Yui is just not that strong in Arena, so I would put her in C tier. Next is Hiyori, and she does damage with her skill 1, and her UE gives her AoE damage on it. Pretty good, nothing to scoff at also, but she's a frontliner, so she's pretty bad in Arena, so let's put her in D tier. Next is Nozomi. Nozomi is actually really good. Her stun gets a little longer with her UE from 1.5 to 2 seconds, and also debuffs physical attack of frontliners, like the people she's hitting. So, in my opinion, I think she belongs in S tier. Next, we have Saren. Saren is like a TV battery, and so her skill 1, unfortunately, is the skill that does damage, and all it does is make her do more damage on the skill 1 as her HP gets lower. Saren doesn't do that much damage in the first place, so it doesn't really make sense to give her a UE to do more damage when her baseline level of damage is so low. I would put her in D tier. Alright, next up is Yukari. For Yukari, I would put her UE in S tier. I think this because, well, her UE gives her heal a significant boost and also raises the magic defense of the person she's healing. So she makes them very tanky and makes it so that if you have like a frontliner, they can survive a lot better with the heal. and plus she's got the TV boost in her skill too, so she's just super strong in Arena. Next is Taki. Her skill, her unique equipment debuffs magic attack of the person she's hitting by like a lot, and then also stuns them for 1.5 seconds. Therefore, I think she goes in like B tier. She's fallen off a lot actually, just because taunts are like fairly standard since there are more taunters in the game, and because of that, she isn't able to assassinate the backline as well, so she's kind of fallen off. So yeah, I'll put her in B tier. Orisa, with her UE, does a lot more damage and also debuffs action speed and also debuffs magic attack of the person she's hitting, since it snipes a mage in the backline, or wherever the mage is, really. Kind of the same story as Taki, but Orisa also does like a lot of damage in general, because she just gets her Union Burst off a lot, so I think she goes in A tier. She's pretty good. She is very, very good. For Ninon, her unique equipment makes her skill and do more damage, and also restores all her TP if she gets a kill with it. So it's super strong, right? But there are a lot of defenses, since it's like mostly stall right now, where you're not going to get that kill with the skill 1. So I think she goes in A tier. Like, she's good if you find the right use case for her, but in general, like if like Princess Arena, like you're like 2 teams in, like I just don't think she's that good. Next is Mifuyu, my personal favorite, and her UE buffs her defenses by a lot and also regens her health. So to be honest, Mifuyu, her base defenses are so weak that even this isn't enough to save her, really. So unfortunately, I'm gonna put her in C tier. Like, it's useful, don't get me wrong, but she doesn't do any damage. She kind of just like heals and like tries to tank, but like she can't really tank, so it's not that great. So yeah, I think she goes in C tier, unfortunately. I'm pretty sad about that. Akino, for her unique equipment, she buffs her own attack by a lot, gives her a TP boost as well, and also, if she's damaged, she'll put some damage back, and also she taunts for 5 seconds. These are all great things, but the thing is that Akino is super squishy, so she can't really do the job of like being a taunt tank, so she's just not that great. Although I'm sure you can make her work. Like, I personally haven't tried to make her work, but I think you could make her work in like certain comps. So I think she goes in C tier. I'm like reading the skill again. It sounds really good, right? But I just don't think it's enough for B tier. I just never see Akino. Like, she's not trash, but like, yeah, she just has to go in C tier. All right, next up, we got a whole lot more to cover too. So now we got Eriko. Eriko in Arena, like, her unique equipment is busted, right? Gives her a ton of extra attack and extra crit, but she's a frontliner, so she kind of gets dunked on a lot of the time. So I would put her in D tier for Arena in terms of her unique equipment and how useful it is. It's just not that great. For Anna, her unique equipment makes her do more damage on her skill 1 and also debuff magic defense. And it's kind of a mixed bag. At the beginning, when the game first came out, she was super good because she would like kamikaze and kill herself with her skill 2 and do a lot of damage. But generally, it's not as useful as it used to be. So I think she goes in C tier along with Akino, unfortunately. Akari gets a magic defense shred on her skill 1 for 12 seconds. So, man, I barely see Akari in Arena. And the magic defense thing is nice, but generally you need mixed attackers to like deal with defenses nowadays. And so having that just utility for like shredding magic defense and healing is like just, and not doing damage herself is like not that great. So I think she goes in C tier. Next is Yori. Yori's actually really good in Arena, and her UE gives her a lot of extra magic attack and restores her own TP. So she's good. She's really good. If I had to rate her, I would say she goes in... she's definitely better than Orisa. S tier. She's S tier. Next is Shinobu. Her UE buffs physical attack everywhere and physical crit. So she's pretty good. The TP that you get from killing her skull though can make it so that she's not that great. She generally needs to be running like physical attack comps. So I think she goes in like B tier. I never see Shinobu in Arena, by the way. Like, never. Like, in theory she sounds good, but I never see her, so I think she goes B tier. For June, her UE heals a little bit more and then also buffs their physical attack and action speed by a decent chunk. I think it's good for attack compositions just to help you break through frontline. Usually I combine it with Nozomi, and that tends to help with breaking through defense comps. So I think I'm going to put her in A tier. She's not as good as Nozomi, but she definitely is good. Having any extra tanks in general in Arena is just super useful. Next is Reno. So Reno, with her UE, buffs her attack by a little bit more, buffs her own crit by a little more, and she also gets an insane amount of extra attack speed, like 80%. So she's good. It's just because she's only used in Arena really, it's hard to justify like raising her, especially since she's such like a investment, since there are not many archers left that are so useful. She's definitely an S tier for me, and you have to build comps around her, but she's not as good as she used to be. Mitsuki, her UE makes her curse do more damage and also debuffs action speed by like 5%. It's very little. It's very, very little. But AoE defense drops are super good for being able to do AoE damage, in my experience. I've actually been using Mitsuki myself a lot more recently. So I think she goes in A tier or S tier. I think A tier, because she's not like doing the damage herself, she's more of like a support. So last up is Shizuru. Her UE raises her heal and also buffs the physical defense of the person she's healing by 80. So Shizuru in Arena is pretty good, but like nothing special, so I think she goes in A tier. There are cases where she can jump up to S tier for sure against like certain defense comps. And right now, Summer Kaori is like super strong and can like murder front lines, and Shizuru can help like, you know, make that less of an issue. But Summer Kaori is just gonna dump on you regardless, so I think she goes in A tier. Alright, next up we got Lima. Her skill 1 basically buffs her physical defense by a little bit more, and also gives her a physical barrier on all allies for 16 seconds at the beginning of battle. It's just so broken. This skill is so broken, and in this current meta too, with Summer Kaori like pretty much dunking on teams, just being able to survive one of her Union Bursts with this skill is just like super duper good. So she goes in SSS tier. She's so good. One of the best tanks in the game right now. Not as good in defense comps, but in attack comps she lets you be able to beat other comps that are based on like physical attackers. Alright, so Rin, her UE buffs physical attack and physical crit, and also ups the range of the buff. And she spams the skill like a lot. So I have found use cases for her for sure. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Like, There are cases where like there are AoE magic attacks coming and you can put it right in your attack team and they'll survive. So yeah, I think she goes in B tier. Pretty niche. She's useful, but she's niche. So next is Hatsune. Her UE buffs the damage on it and also debuffs magic defense of the target it's hitting, which means that she'll do more damage to that target the next time they hit. And this attack will like hit like the highest physical attack enemy. I'll say she's just really good. She's really solid. So I think she's maybe fallen off a little bit. I don't see her as much anymore because ever since what's her face got in, the purple haired girl. Ever since she got OP, you see Hatsune a lot less. I'll say it's still good though. I would say A tier. Next is Kaori. Kaori's a frontliner, physical attacker. You know where we're putting her. It's D tier. Sad. Makoto. Makoto, same deal. Frontliner. D tier. Mahiru. So Mahiru is a midliner that, with her UE, does a little bit more damage, knockbacks by a lot, and then confuses the target. So Mahiru's actually pretty strong if you can figure out how to use her. Mainly against like defense teams that only have one tank, but that's pretty rare. So she is good, but like she's pretty niche as well, so I would say B tier. Alright, next up we got Shiori. So Shiori, her UE makes it so that her arrows, like for the attack, do a lot more damage. And also restores her own TP by a lot more, like 50 more. So it's pretty good, but like, is it enough to like break through stall teams? A lot of the time, no. So I think she goes in A tier. Like she's good, but like not that great. Next up we got Aoi. So this makes it so that if the target is poisoned, her skill won't do way more damage. And it also poisons. And the damage is way greater if they're already poisoned. So, and the poison just ignores defense. So, it's just so broken. I think she belongs in SSS tier. I use her every day. She's just so good. Next is Misato. So, her UE buffs magic attack and magical crit. Personally, I think she's pretty strong. Being a buffer of magic attack and being able to heal is super nice, so she goes, I think she goes in A tier. You see her every once in a while. She's definitely used in Arena for sure. Next is Io. So her UE makes her skill 1 do more damage, and also if the enemy is charmed when she casts it, they lose a lot of TP. And also, it also debuffs all of the attack stat by 1,000. Like, it's very, very significant. For me, she's just super strong in Arena. SSS tier. If you have her on your defense team and you have her UE leveled up, because her UE also gives her a TP boost. It's just absolutely broken. Alright, next is Tomo. So, Tomo is like a pretty solid Arena user. Actually, she's a frontliner. How is she in Arena? No. Do I use her? No. Never mind. I changed my mind. I was about to be like, oh, well, she can break stalls, but like, D tier. Next is Matsuri. So she's a really good AoE attacker slash tank because her UE makes it so that she does a little bit more damage and also buffs her physical defense by like a lot. Like 224. That's a lot. So I personally use her a ton. And currently in the current meta that we're in, she's like S to SSS tier, depending on like what comps you use her in. For now, I'd say S tier because she is like kind of niche, but she is really, really good. All right, next up is Digita. Digita with her UE does a lot more damage and also restores all the TP of the characters around her by 100, except herself, but she also restores her own TP by 200.
Jijito's just super strong because boosting TP in Arena is just super good. And then on top of that, she also gets her UB off more often, and her UB is super strong. It's single target, does a lot of damage to like the frontmost target. I think, but like a lot of the times she can get killed like super easily. So I think she also belongs in S tier. She is almost SSS tier. It's super close, but in my experience, like she's on and off whether I use her on the day or not. Next is Monica. So Monica's UE buffs all allies' attack and action speed by a lot. So the attack is like 1200 for attack and magic attack, and then action speed is by 100%. It's only used at the beginning of battle, but it's super strong. So she is SSS tier for me. Her UE is just super good. Gotta equip it. Kuka. Now for Kuka, she is amazing tank, super good. She taunts. Her UE buffs her own physical defense by 150 and also heals herself by 20%. So it's super good. Having a taunter that can actually survive, unlike New Year, right? It's just super good. I use Kuka in like most of my comps, so I would put her in SSS tier. Next is Yuki. So Yuki's UE charms the second person from the front line. So that's super good. And she's already really strong in her own right. She can be niche sometimes, just because she doesn't do the most damage on her own. Like she does do a decent amount of damage, but like not as much as other characters. I would say S tier. For Ayane, she's a frontliner, and her she's a frontliner arena that does damage. Sometimes she can be useful. Her UE debuffs and action speed for 20% for 10 seconds. And also stuns for 2.5 seconds, but she's just, being a frontliner is just so bad. I would say C tier. She's definitely better. Is she? Like, she's also squishy. D tier. I changed my mind. I was gonna give her a little more credit, but no. So next is Suzume. Her UE debuffs all defenses, physical and magical defense, and also raises the damage that her skill 1 does. And her, I think Suzume is underrated. Like, I think she can be good. I just think people don't bother to use her. So, I don't know. I personally have used Suzume to like decent success in Arena because I accidentally pressed optimize on her. So, I'm personally biased. I think she belongs in B tier. I think she can actually do some work with some AoE physical attackers. For sure. B tier. Alright, next is Kyoka. So her UE makes her skill 1 do a lot more damage and deal ×4 crit damage. Absolutely broken. She's like the main magic attack DPS in Arena for me for offense teams, so she is SSS tier with her UE. So next up is Misaki, the character I was talking about earlier. And her UE makes it so that her skill 1 is AoE, does more damage, and debuffs action speed by 20%. And actually, with the UE, it goes up to 35% for 10 seconds. Absolutely broken. She does an insane amount of damage, and the action speed on top of that is just super good. SSS tier. Mimi. Her UE makes it so that she does a little more damage, and makes it so that her skill 1 is AoE, and hits 500 units from the center of the enemy team. I think she is good. Sometimes it can be a little RNG. Like sometimes she'll just randomly kill like a backliner. So she can be good. I'm like struggling to think about like, personally I found her niche. Like I don't think she's, like I use her every day, but I don't think she's as good as like the people at the top. So S tier. Next is Miyako. So she's like really good tank. Her UE buffs her on physical defense and dodge with her skill 1, which is like the invincibility. So I think she belongs in SSS tier as like one of the strongest mages in Arena. Or mages? No, tank. She's one of the strongest tanks. Alright, next is Ilya. So This makes it so that her Yui makes so that her she does more damage, and she ups her own magical attack by a little bit more. And her Yui also gives her magic defense when you raise it up, so definitely really good. I just find Ilia to be too RNG for me, so there are just better, more consistent options, especially because she can get wiped out by some of like the other people on this list. So I would say A tier. Next is Misogi. She can be decent. So her Yui makes so that her skill 1 does a little bit more damage, and also blinds, and also debuffs physical attack permanently. Like, so every time she hits her skill 1 on a target, it lowers their physical attack for the rest of the battle. So she's really good in certain situations. That's the catch. Like, she's not good in all cases. So I think she belongs in B tier. It's like a niche character. All right, next up we've got Tsumugi. Her Yui makes so that her skill 1 stuns for 1.5 seconds and buffs her own physical attack by 1200 and physical defense by 40 for 12 seconds. I don't know why they made her Yui so broken when she's already so broken. She is SSS tier, bro. She's so strong in arena, it's insane. Next is Maho. Her Yui heals for a lot more and also buffs physical defense by a lot and also regens health. So it's good, but like, I don't know. Like, she's good in defense comps for sure. Her Yui helps with that. So she's good in stall comps. So I would say A tier for now. Next is Suzuna. So her Yui makes so that she throws 3 darts instead of 1, and also does a bunch of damage. And all of those hits crit, and they deal 3 times crit damage. I think she is good, but like, just not as good. Just because Miyako exists, right? So oftentimes, like, Suzuna just won't be able to cut through that. So I think she belongs in. She used to be super good. Like, she was better than Shiori at one point in Arena. It's a toss-up between A or B for me. But you just don't see her, so I'm gonna put her B tier as a niche character for now. So next is Chika. So her Yui buffs physical crit and physical attack, and also gives a regen field for HP. So this is really good. It's just that there are just better options for you to have, because she's oriented towards like offensive comps, kind of, right? Because she buffs physical attack, but physical attackers generally can handle stuff on their own, so Chika's kind of necessary. So I'll put her in C tier. Alright, next is Summer Carol. So her Yui makes so that her skill 1 also debuffs magic defense, along with doing a bunch of damage. So super strong. She's the best magical shredder in the game. However, Kyoka does more damage, so you're only seeing Summer Carol if like you're using like a physical like Mage Melt team or something. So I think Summer Carol goes in like S tier, not quite SSS tier. Next is Summer Kokoro. I never see this character anymore, even though her Yui came out. Her Yui debuffs physical defense by a little bit more. So I don't know. It's just not that good. She's just not that great. So I guess B tier as like a niche character. Next is Soma Pecorin. So with her Yui, she gets way more physical attack buffed and physical crit as well. She's really good. It's just she takes a lot of investment to get up there with her Yui. So I'd put her in S tier. She's really good. Just a lot of people can't use her because she requires so many resources. Alright. Next we have Kasumi. Kasumi is super strong with her Yui. It makes so that her skill 1 does a little bit more damage, and also binds for 2.7 to 3.5 seconds, depending on how many targets there are. The more targets there are, the longer it'll stun or bind. Super good. Kasumi is definitely SSS tier. She can even be used in offense teams if like you know what you're doing. Next is Nanaka. So this makes so that her skill 1 debuffs magical defense by a little bit more. Nanaka in general is just really strong, does a lot of damage. can even nuke people in the backline with her UB. So I think she belongs in. It's a toss-up between S and A. I say A for now. I haven't used her enough to be sure. I think she is strong, but like kind of niche as well. Next is Bruka. So she's also a taunt tank, and her UE makes so that her what is this? She does more damage and then debuffs physical defense. Personally, I don't see Ruka a whole lot, but she is good in arena for sure. It's just that people don't often like sink resources into her. So I think she belongs in A tier. All right, here we are, almost at the end. So next up is Summer Tamaki. Her UE makes so that she steals a little bit more TP, lowers the physical attack of the enemy by 1600 for 12 seconds, super strong, and also buffs her own physical attack by 3200. So it's really insane, but the issue is that, again, she's a frontliner, physical attacker, so I think she's pretty good, but like not good in arena. So I think she goes in like C to B tier. Like she's not terrible like the others here, but she's not good. I say C tier. Next is Summer Mafuyu. Summer Mafuyu in arena is absolutely broken. So she already buffs all allies attack with her like a Uniburst or whatever. Well, maybe not her Uniburst. But her UE gives her a lot more damage. Gives her AoE damage on her skill 1, which is like super broken. And it has a pretty good range. So I think she belongs in S to SSS tier. In my experience, like she just murders people, so I think SSS tier. Next is Summer Suzume. So her skill 1 summons like the mini golem, and then also deploys a field with her UE equipped that buffs all defenses by a decent bit, like 135 for 12 seconds. It's really strong. Is it the best? I'm not sure about that one. I think she belongs in S tier. She is really good. She really only works in like defense comps. All right, and that wraps up the tier list. If you got into this part of the video, thank you so much for watching. Comment below if you agree with the tier list or not, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this. My name is Kwangsu. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.